Hey guys, welcome to the Late Late Show. I'm your host Matt from Lakers UK. Here joining me today is Jonathan Kiernan, and we're both going to be doing a mid-series review of the Western Conference Finals between the Lakers and Nuggets, with the series sat currently 2-1 in the Lakers' favor. Can't see Jonathan at the moment, but you can now. How are you doing, Jonathan?
Hello.
You good?
What's good, Lakers Nation?
Yeah, so this is the first time we've done the Late Late Show live in this capacity. Obviously, I did something similar, but it was more of a test. So as you can see, it's going really well with Jonathan up and down already. But yeah, no, it's a little bit new for you all. This is what we kind of invested in off the back of Patreon. So it's quite cool. The guys on Instagram have got like a side-on view of me here, which should add something a little bit different. So if you want to check that out, go over to Instagram to see kind of the behind the scenes side of things. So what we're going to do is we won't go through the games individually. We'll kind of speak more about game 2 and 3, mainly the end of game 2, and obviously what has just happened in game 3 and what will happen moving forward. Obviously, there's quite a lot of topics that are going to arise off that, especially when it comes to the big men. So I'll hand the floor over to you, really. Let's kind of, let's start with game 1. We won't go too in depth, but they were pretty much dominant throughout, the Lakers, apart from a very high scoring first quarter that Denver outscored them by 2. They went ahead and pretty much dominated throughout the majority for 126-114 victory. What did you think of that? We actually won a game 1.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was nearly expecting us just to kind of fluff our lines in game 1 and just lose. But no, it was the one thing we can definitely say about game 1 was it's like the 126-114 probably doesn't do the Lakers actually any justice. 12 points is like, it felt like we were just dominant the vast majority of the game. And they had a very good fourth quarter. Like, obviously, it's the Denver Nuggets. They're known for their comebacks, so they got 35 points in the fourth quarter. But other than that, we were pretty dominant throughout the game. And the one thing we can point to is that a lot of role players really got themselves involved. Like the likes of, like LeBron only had scored 15 points and 12 assists, which is 12 assists is great. But KCP with 18 points, Kyle Kuzma with 11, and I think Dwight Howard 13 points. So it's just a great team effort all around. And Dwight was like just the X factor in game 1. He just pushed Jokic around, kind of bullied him, which is something you really don't see happen to Nikola Jokic much. But yeah, he kind of just got in his face the entirety of the game and kind of got him out of his rhythm, which is perfect for us. We got an easy victory there, well deserved, and kind of a shock to the system because we're so used to kind of losing game 1 for the last 2 series. But yeah, great win.
Yeah, and obviously Markieff Morris played 16 minutes in that game. Howard played 16 minutes as well. That's quite an interesting part of the statistics to look at, especially as the series has gone on and we're now 3 games in. So let's move on to game 2 quite swiftly. So the Lakers are 1-up. That domination throughout game 1 continues over into game 2. Well, it continues through the majority of game 2. And then there was a slip. And Denver come back into it. They come back into it so much that they actually took the lead very late on a couple of times before AD went and scored the final, the last 10 Laker points, including a game-winning 3. And it was an incredible one at that. What did you make of that? Before we go into like the game a little bit, what did you make of the game winner? What was your reaction?
I think it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning here. I'm like in an apartment complex. And I was like, yes! I'm shocked that no one called the police or just knocked on my door. But yeah, just screaming the place down. It was just, I think when we saw Jokic's basket go in, we were like, that's it. Like, the game's over for us. Like, it's going to be 1-1 and we're going to be kind of biting our nails for the rest of the series, seeing if we can like beat this really, really informed Denver Nuggets team. But come with the hour, come with the man. I thought it was going to be in LeBron's hands to finish the game, or even Danny Green's, because he's like a decent kind of shooter. But no, AD got the ball. It was kind of Plumlee should have been stuck to his hip, but kind of was just thrown into the lineup in the last second. Didn't know his positionings or what Lakers want to do. But yeah, raised up and drained it like nothing but net. Like I think he had it previously against the Denver Nuggets during the season. He had a similar kind of position, like to finish the game, to win the game, and we lost against them. And he missed the buzzer beater. But like, it proves that he just wanted the big shot at the end of the day and absolutely drained it. But yeah, fantastic. It covers over kind of the cracks of game two, but still fantastic finish to the game, and just kind of one of the greater buzzer beaters in kind of playoff history for the Lakers.
Yeah, it was an incredible shot, and he actually hit an incredible step back three just prior to that, a couple of minutes prior, which was an incredible shot as well. And he really did. That was why we traded what we did for him. That's why the youngsters were out of the door to get superstar talent in that can single-handedly win a playoff game. I thought the Nuggets had won that. I thought they were going to not run away with it, but I thought they'd snatched it at the end. Especially going into that last play, it wasn't exactly what they drew up by the looks of it. It looked like LeBron was going to go for a bit of a handoff, push off his man. But then Plumlee goes and runs into LeBron, even though he's not even setting a screen, which set up a wide open three. Well, not wide open. It's never wide open when Jokic is around with his sheer size, but near enough. And then he drains that incredible shot. You obviously went for the big celebration by the sounds of it. I went for the silent fist pumps. So in the living room at 4 a.m. Well, I'm an hour ahead, so it was about 5 a.m. here. It's an incredible shot. And when you look back and you see all the video clips and the fact that he said Kobe afterwards and just the celebrations, Ten Hot and Tucker getting floored, which we have to shout out.
That was hilarious. Just the way, just everything planned out, with like running back, everyone's choice, and then Taylor Horton Tucker flattened his back. Like, he actually looked like he was genuinely injured straight away. Like, he either got like winded or broken rib. Like, when a 260-pound man runs right into you, like, that could happen. But yeah, glad he's fine, and glad AD drained the buzzer beater.
Yeah, and when you watch the montages that were created afterwards, obviously it was a historical Lakers shot. It was quite something at the time. It was quite difficult to kind of fathom the importance of the shot, from a wider scale. Obviously, we saw it as being like, oh, it's won us this game. Oh, we're now 2-1 up in the series. But when you look back, I haven't got the actual stats in front of me, but he's one of 7 Lakers ever to have hit a game winner in playoff history. When you look at, the Lakers' huge history, golden history, the amount of playoff games that they've played, that's an incredible thing to achieve. And he just looks in his element. He wasn't going to get them opportunities in New Orleans. He was going to get the late shots if it came to that, but it was never going to be in a conference final under the bright lights. And I was very happy for him that he hit that. But that was huge. I thought we'd lost that, but luckily we went 2-0. And I was expecting a hit back, and we got a hit back. So in game 3, the Lakers looked passive. They looked lethargic for the majority. There was a lack of effort, which we've seen at times throughout this season as well. Just a real off game. So why don't you take us through game 3? What did you take from game 3? What are your thoughts on it?
Passive is an understatement. We were just not there. And it's crazy. Like, you look at the stats. LeBron James, 30 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds. You think, like, with them stats, like, the Lakers, and then AD 27, but the 2 rebounds, Jesus. But it was just as simple as the Lakers did not show up. They were very much so lethargic. They just didn't seem like they wanted to be there to a certain extent. Maybe they were tired. Maybe they just have been going hard the last 2 games to make sure they got a 2-0 lead, and it's finally caught up to them. But I think the X factor that caused the Lakers to lose the game was Jokic getting going early and JaVale McGee kind of starting the game. I think after game 2 and him getting so few minutes, we would have thought, oh, with JaVale's probably done for this series, like they're going to go with like either Anthony Davis on Jokic or Dwight Howard or even like Markieff Morris and go with AD at the 5. But yeah, just completely utterly backfired because that allowed Jokic to get going early. That allowed them to kind of build a huge lead like very, very early. And then just continue to pile on and pile on and pile on. And then when Jamal Murray and Jokic get going at the same time, like it's as good as over. And like we rallied back in the fourth and we outscored them in the fourth, 31-21. But it was too little, too late. Like we got to win within 3, and I think KCP missed an open 3 that could have drawn up the game. But we never should have put ourselves in that position where we were chasing the game. Like that's not us. We are kind of the tone setters. Like we set the tone against the Portland Trailblazers. We set the tone against the Houston Rockets, and we didn't stick to any of our guns. We didn't look to rebound, which is crazy. With the length we have on the floor, we should be destroying Denver on the boards on a nightly basis. We didn't try. We're usually a good defensive team who doesn't double most players. Like we doubled Harden because it was necessary because we knew they didn't have shooters. But we had the likes of Alex Caruso and KCP and Danny Green capable of not stopping kind of Harden or Lillard or McCollum, but at least kind of getting in their face and making life difficult. We just didn't do that against Murray. Either he's really kind of talented, which he definitely is, but we should have been able to limit them a lot more. But it was a complete another lack of effort. And by the time we had the chance to kind of come back, it was too little, too late. They had already gained their footing within the game. They had already been nailing shots, and even when like AD was in the end of the third, start of the fourth. AD is right in Jokic's face, and as the buzzer is coming down, Jokic just drains a shot right in AD's face with AD fully extended. And when shots like that are going in, like you're not going to be able to beat teams when they're really kind of getting going, and we're just chasing the game. But yeah, we did our best to come back. But I think this might be the perfect thing to happen to the Los Angeles Lakers, because it's what's been proven in past 2 series is that the Lakers, when they kind of punched in the face or kind of dirt kicked in their face, like the second Lillard started dancing in game 1, we knew it was over.
Yeah,
because you see LeBron going, okay, that's the way you want to play it. Like I'm taking this personally. And then in game 2, it was Russell Westbrook saying, "This is my house," like to family members. Like there's not even a crowd there, the weirdo. But we knew that was like, oh crap, LeBron is going to go absolutely crazy. And I think the worst thing Jamal Murray could have done last night is doing this little dance and kind of saying like, "This is us. This is our series." And another thing that they came out and said, they're right, very right to believe this. They said it should be a 2-1 series to them rather than a 2-1 series to us, which they have every right to say. But they're, to a certain extent, these are things you do not say to the likes of LeBron James. Like he is looking. The one thing about him yesterday, he didn't look completely interested the entire game. When it came to the fourth, he looked interested and kind of showed up. But for the rest of the game, like the Lakers, I think were down like 20 at one point. LeBron just walked back to the bench, just was sipping his drink. If that was like peak LeBron when he's really focused, he would be reaming out his teammates saying like, "This is bullshit. We need to get this thing going now and kind of fight back earlier rather than later." But yeah, I think to a certain extent, we're probably going to get the best game out of Lakers tonight of probably this series. Maybe not the playoffs, but this series we're going to get the best out of them, because don't dance on us like dance on us like you're like you haven't won anything. With respect to them, they haven't won anything yet, and they do believe they're 2-1 up in their heads. But what we need to do is just take the wind out of ourselves and destroy them the next couple of games, because we're well capable of that. And the one thing that's fantastic even for a Lakers point of view, we probably played our worst game of the entire playoffs last night. Like we were terrible. For 3 quarters, we were terrible. Like we relied on kind of AD get some shots, the occasional shot from KCP, LeBron kind of getting going for little small spurts. And they still only beat us by, what was it, 106, 114, 8 points. They only beat us by 8 points, and at one point we're 3 points up. That is us at our absolute worst. Imagine us potentially tonight, if then it's a big if we're fully locked in, if we're fully kind of bought into what we're going to do, if we kind of decide to show up on defense, if we decide to kind of grab more boards, get the ball to AD in the right place, get LeBron in the right places, get the role players going. Like that is damn near impossible team to beat when they're playing well. And if they're going to take this game personally, the last game personally, then we're going to get a hell of a Lakers team today.
Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of points that you brought up there, and I think it's obviously we describe them as being passive, lethargic, effortless throughout the game, but that late comeback only just fell short. And you mentioned, I think it was a KCP wide open shot. That was one of a few mistakes. There was that. There was a Kuzma missed 3 where he did a strange pump fake when he was wide open for some reason. There was LeBron's fadeaway in the mid-range. AD and Rondo fumbled fast break. It could have easily been a different story. And that was a game where we were so bad and we only lost by effectively a few points until late on, until Jamal Murray went and just iced the game completely with some incredible shots. So I think it's difficult. It's at first, I think when I finally got round to digesting the result, my first reaction was disappointment, and I was like, "Oh God, here we go. That was a really bad game." But when you actually break it down, it's quite easy to look at the positives in that. And I know that the Lakers lost it, but that comeback was incredible. It was up there with, imagine if they won that game, that would have been one of the greatest playoff comebacks ever. It was that big, and I think that one thing which we do have to, I don't know whether it was through tiredness, but they were simply outworked throughout the majority. I mean, they were out rebounded 53 to 34. That's a huge difference.
That never happens to us.
Yeah, and you got to think, out of the 21 defensive rebounds that they had, that 10 of them were LeBron. Well, 10 rebounds were just LeBron. So I think that can't happen. A lot of that is just down to lack of effort, really. I think, or maybe tiredness. I don't know. We'll get into that. But I know that Denver we're hitting 54.8% shooting on the night, so the amount of rebounds that were coming down were limited. But still, the Lakers were shooting at 51.8% clip as well, and they still had a huge differential in rebounds, which was very surprising. And with AD, how many rebounds did he have in that whole game?
2.
Yeah.
2.
I think I read that his first rebound didn't come until
the third quarter.
Yeah, until the third quarter. That's crazy. That can't really happen. But also, McGee and Dwight just had a couple of rebounds between them as well.
JaVale had 1 rebound the entire game. I suppose he only played 8 minutes, but 1 rebound.
Yeah, but I mean,
if you're looking to fight for minutes, 1 rebound is not good enough. Yeah,
but I mean, before we get into JaVale and Dwight, what do you think about? Do you think there is? I thought Denver was going to be tired. I thought they were finally going to be tired. They've been playing all these games, but it looks like we're tired. Do you think all these playoff games are kind of taking their toll, or do you think that is just part and parcel of playing this late in the season?
I think we have a much older lineup, and we have a much older team than the Denver Nuggets. They're a relatively young team, and I know haven't been in Denver for months, but they're training in basically high altitude throughout the entire year, like with training camps and all that stuff. So they are going to be quite a fit team to deal with, and bringing it over to Orlando, they're still going to be able to play really, really well on that high level. And it could be a case of them getting their second wind and showing up and draining shots, and the likes of Jokic and Murray saying, like, we're not going home. Like Murray in the last series was like, people are saying like, oh, pack your clothes, like you're going home. Murray was like, hell no, we're going to make a series of this. And they made a series of it and beat the Clippers. Mm-hmm. And the thing that annoyed me most about game 3. Rebounding is just an effort thing. Rebounding is complete and utterly effort. If there are you have likes of Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Markieff Morris, all guys above 6'8", in the paint at like a certain period of time, 9 times out of 10, like they're good rebounders. They should be grabbing them rebounds, and kind of like 2 for Anthony Davis. 2 is unacceptable.
It's unheard of as well.
Unacceptable. Like that, it's an effort thing, and that's what the Lakers lacked all night was effort. And they realized in the fourth quarter, I was like, oh, we're chasing this game, and this could be a 2-1 series. And realistically, it could have been a 2-1 series to Denver. Like if the AD didn't drain that shot, like things were very different. Maybe we were riding high and saying, oh, we got the 2-0, we got the buzzer beater, like we're riding high on that. But you can also see that Denver, like that was our game to, like we lost that game. We did everything we possibly could. Like it's just not good enough. And if we plan to win the rest of the series, like, and I think the Lakers probably go on to win the next 2 games because they did get that punch in the face that they've needed every single playoff series, is just going to be on effort. Because if we just put forth effort like we always do, we will win the game. Because through sheer talent alone, I think we have the best duo in the NBA currently. Like we wait to see what KD and Kyrie does in Brooklyn, but for now, I think we are definitely the best duo. Have the best duo in the NBA in LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and we just need to kind of either, if one of them is not putting an effort, or both of them not putting an effort, we're going to really, really struggle. And it showed last night. AD didn't try on the boards. LeBron was being very passive, and he just outright refused to kind of go to the basket like he did in game 1. Like that's where the Lakers punish teams, is LeBron running at them full tilt, spin move into the paint around Jokic, or spin move around Millsap or Michael Porter Jr. and getting the ball, like just laying it up. It can be that easy for LeBron James. But if he hasn't done it in game 2, and he definitely didn't do it in game 3, and was just settling for kind of passing it out of double teams or not even trying to pull up, we're not going to win the series. So LeBron needs to show up more. His stat line last night kind of goes contrary to belief for what I'm saying, because it's 30, 11, and 10. But a lot of them were late on when we're chasing the game, which is not good enough. We don't chase games, we win games.
I think it comes in waves. It's a series of, basketball is a whole sport of runs, going on different runs. And this series has been like that. You know, it's never really been, I don't feel like, except for like late game situations in game 2, but it's never really been close throughout the entirety of a game. It's just been one way or the other way. For the majority, that is. I think it's something like we haven't seen yet from the Lakers in the playoffs. It's the first time we've seen this Lakers team tested in this way. In the Portland and Houston series, we lost both game 1s, and then onwards just dominated. This is the first time we kind of took a bit of an early lead, but we're kind of getting hit back now. And this is where we kind of need some resilience to kind of stand strong mid-series, adjust whatever way is necessary, and then really push on and try and finish off the season. And obviously, when you talk about adjustments, the big man conversation comes into things. Should JaVale McGee be playing? How much can you play Dwight Howard? Should AD be at the 5? Can Markieff come in and do a job in this series? So let's get on to that. I mean, what's your situation with Dwight Howard / McGee? Should Dwight Howard start? Should McGee be seeing many minutes in this series? He hasn't really been forming that well. What are your kind of viewpoints on the big man rotation? I mean, you can bring in Morris and AD if you wish, but obviously just with the traditional big man rotation of Dwight and JaVale.
I think Frank Vogel's lack of rotation has kind of really killed us in the last 2 games. Probably made us a bit more predictable. And like it's valiant that he has been keeping JaVale in the games when he, like starting him when he hasn't been playing well. Like obviously he wants probably JaVale to gain some confidence and kind of get himself into the series and become a valuable asset for the series. But through 3 games, he's killed us. Like and it's unfair to put this on JaVale's shoulders because he seems like a really nice guy and a good teammate and just seems like a good overall person. But he is probably the reason why we lost. And I know you only played 8 minutes. He's probably the reason why we lost last night as badly as we did. Because the worst thing you can possibly do to the likes of Nikola Jokic is getting him going early. That is going to kill a team because if he gains a head of steam and some confidence, like, you're not going to stop him. He was just making crazy shots last night, and it all came off of him cooking JaVale at the start of the game. But yeah, JaVale, I think there is a place for JaVale in this series, but it's definitely not in starter minutes or starting the game. If I had to choose, I'd choose Dwight Howard to start the game. I know a lot of people would probably say, well, what if Dwight gets into early foul trouble and then that could kind of force AD to play more minutes? It's like, yeah, but I think at this stage we need to take that risk. We saw what Dwight was able to do in, like, coming off the bench, even in the last game. Like, he was one of the galvanizing forces that got us back into the game. Like, he, through his effort and that's all he needed to do was effort. His effort got us back into the game. So yeah, Dwight's starting, AD obviously at the power forward. But there's kind of a simple solution to the Lakers' problems. Start Dwight Howard at center, start him on Nikola Jokic, kind of guard Jokic. As soon as Howard sits or gets in foul trouble, you shift AD over to the 5 and probably Markieff Morris to the 4 or LeBron to the 4 to kind of guard the likes of Millsap. Then you have AD on him for like a decent portion of the game. Then when Nikola Jokic shits and Plumlee comes in, that's when you bring JaVale back in, because Plumlee is nowhere near the kind of threat that Jokic is. Obviously, he's a very capable backup center who's good at passing out of the post. But that's where you get JaVale into the game. Get hit. Like, that's where you give the likes of AD and Howard kind of a bit of a rest, because the Lakers have been very kind of silly in that regard of playing AD against the likes of Mason Plumlee or Miles Plumlee. But yeah, that's the perfect time to give him a rest. Yeah, try to get Kuzma going in that lineup. But yeah, you just need to kind of, there is a place for JaVale in this lineup, and there is a place for JaVale in this series. But against the backups, not against the starters. If he goes against the starters, he's going to get cooked like he has done every single game in this series. And if we give them head of steam again, they could just hit ridiculous shots again and really kind of make it a really difficult game for us. Whereas if we stick Dwight into the starting lineup, get in Jokic's face straight away, which he doesn't like. Like, he's. I'm not saying he's kind of timid, but it showed in the first game that as soon as Dwight got in his face, Jokic to a certain extent fell apart. And in game 2, when Dwight, that was ridiculous where Dwight didn't play that much in game 2, but when he did, again he got in Jokic's face and just made life difficult for him. And that's what you need to do against the best players. Dwight is, and respectfully to JaVale McGee, Dwight should have started most of the games this season. Maybe JaVale was kind of more cohesive with the starting unit, and it probably made more sense. But Dwight Howard played more minutes this season than JaVale. Put him in starting minutes. Like, it should be as simple as that. But the big question is going to be: is Frank Vogel going to make any changes? Because even in the last game, where we were in kind of a bad situation, we went to the same rotation over and over and over again. And to a certain extent, if you're not willing to change things, that makes you very predictable. And that makes the Denver Nuggets basically going, okay, they're going to be playing this guy with this guy. We'll put Jokic on the floor. They're going to play this guy with this guy. Let's put Michael Porter Jr. on the floor.
Yeah.
Be more kind of flexible with your lineups. Because I still think even with JaVale in the lineup tonight, potentially, if AD and LeBron show up and we get some good kind of production out of KCP and Danny Green, and Alex Caruso gets like a block or gets a few steals or just makes Jamal Murray's life difficult, we can win the game. But we shouldn't be settling for can. If we can put Dwight Howard into the starting lineup and he puts Jokic under pressure from the get-go, that gives us the upper hand from the start and gives us a head of steam going forward. So yeah, there's no place for JaVale McGee in the starting lineup anymore. I don't think, even if we, like, touch wood, we go through to the finals again, there's no room for him in the starting lineup again anymore. He's just proved that the lights are potentially just too big for him. And it happened in Golden State. They benched him when it came to, like, the real kind of towards the end of the playoffs, because he's not built for it. He's built for kind of minimal bursts of concentration. But when he loses his concentration, that is when the likes of Jokic absolutely destroys him. And he's destroyed him for 3 games. Howard has shown up every time in the 3 games and made life difficult. And if you can make Jokic's life difficult, that halves the problem for the Lakers.
Yeah, I think we've got a few things coming in here, actually. Cole said on Instagram that Vogel doesn't like to change things until we lose. And you said you criticize Vogel then for not changing things. But in game 4 against Houston, he changed things. And he did change things. He did adapt to the series, and he did go small. I think the same is going to happen here. We're in game 4, and I think we're going to see a similar type of change, not Markieff Morris coming to the starting lineup, but adapting to the situation at hand. I think Howard has to come into the starting lineup. I do agree with you with that. The only issue is the foul troubles. Is Denver getting into the penalty early and giving them 3 opportunities when they're dangerous anyway? You know, I mean, that's the worry with Dwight. And I think that if some way Dwight can be aggressive and productive, but in a controlled manner, that's the recipe for success. I understand that aggressiveness is what is making him so effective, but we can't keep racking up these fouls, and him getting into foul trouble early. We've seen the refs are a little bit dodgy in this series.
I
mean, I'll be honest with you, there's been a few dodgy calls either way. And, you know, in the Lakers side of things and the Denver side of things, there's been a few that have been completely scratch your head type moments. But one thing which I'm struggling with is Howard's getting fouled out is a problem. But there are large stretches of games where he's sitting for very large parts of the game, especially in game 2, when he's so effective as he is. You know, I'll just pull up his stats here, and he in that first game, obviously, unbelievable. He had 13 points. But even with 3 and 4 points and 2 and 1 rebounds, respectively, in games 2 and 3, he was one of the higher performers on the Lakers. I haven't got plus minus, but he was up there in plus minus. His effect was clear to see when you broke it down. And I think it's the same with Markieff Morris. I'm a big believer in Markieff Morris, and he's had a few defensive frailties in game 2 and 3. But how can you expect that when you're not ever really putting him in the game and you're sitting him for large spells of the game, 15 minutes at a time, then expecting him to come in and perform it for like 4 minutes? So I think that Vogel's rotations have been definitely questionable. I think he'll be forced into a change tonight. I think even if he doesn't make a change and he goes with McGee, I don't think McGee will. I think he might have 1 stint in the game. Or he might have the opening stint, and then he might have a very, very short stint later on, and that's kind of it. When we kind of get to the second units. But I really do believe that we can just have a big man rotation of AD and Howard. If Howard behaves and stays out of foul trouble, just AD Howard, AD Howard, AD Howard. Every now and then we can get Markieff in to play small ball at the 5. Maybe when Plumlee's in, it could baffle him a little bit. The athleticism, the speed. Maybe we could play Rockets ball against them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So there's quite a few. I mean, to stay a little bit dynamic is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we just need to constantly throw them curveballs. The rest of the series, just don't be predictable. That's just the one thing that's happened to us, is we've been predictable. Like, honestly, JaVale shouldn't have started game 3. And the Nuggets are probably like licking their lips when they saw JaVale is back in the lineup because they know that they can bully him.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, they're bullying him physically, but they're bullying him mentally as well because Jokic knows he can have his way with them, and that was going to kill us. I am convinced there is room for JaVale in the team. I think, yeah, like it could be like a mixture between him and Morris against the likes of Plumlee. But we need to kind of give the likes of AD a break. Like he played 43 minutes and LeBron played 37 minutes. And I think the highest after that was KCP with 27.
Yeah.
But if we can get them to lesser minutes and use our depth at the right times, we should be fine. And regarding Dwight gets at least 2 fouls a game where he sticks his forearm into the back of opposing centers to box them out. Dwight is well capable of using just shoulders and his back to push rather than using his forearms. All I need to do to kind of get to kind of relieve Dwight of some foul trouble is just tell him, don't be throwing him elbows. Keep them to yourselves, and you probably get 3 or 4 fouls a game still. But it'll save you from not fouling out each game, and that could be the difference in the Lakers kind of not winning and losing games, but kind of the margin in which they could kind of potentially beat this team. Because he is an important part of the series, and he's proved it. But the silly tic-tac fouls he needs to get rid of. And the officiating, Jesus Christ. Like game 1, I can understand Denver Nuggets fans complaining that we kind of got some calls, and the likes of Jokic gone into foul trouble, and Murray was in foul trouble, and Millsap was in foul trouble. Completely understand that, and now that the shoe is on the other foot, it is like ridiculous. Like everything, it seems like everything's being called, and to a certain extent it ruins the game because you're ruining the flow of either team getting going. Like if we get a foul, like it can destroy us, and they're just being so ticky-tacky fouls as well. And the thing that the Denver Nuggets did really smart after game 1, they complained. They complained about all the fouls that they were getting. That's what we should have done in game 3. Like after this game, it was like the foul is ridiculous. Maybe you're like Frank Vogel or Jason Kidd or someone gets like a fine, but they'd listen. It's kind of I don't think the Denver Nuggets got a fine for it, but it puts it in their head that okay, maybe like the people are perceiving that we're kind of being a bit more lenient with the Denver Nuggets than the Lakers. And that's been unbelievably true because the amount of fouls last game where Dwight Howard was putting his ass or AD or LeBron was just knocked down or KCP was ran over and they didn't give it that way, or the blocking fouls they've been really kind of inconsistent with as well. Like as far as I can understand the rule, if both your feet are planted on the ground and like the likes of Kuz run into you, that's a blocking foul and it goes the other way. But the twice that happened in the last game, neither time the person's feet were planted on the ground and it was just gone straight away to Denver. Like it's just maybe I'm just being bitter because we lost last game, and that could be absolutely the case. And all respect to the Denver Nuggets, they deserve that win. They played their asses off. They played as if their backs were against the wall. But that's the way we need to treat the next couple of games, as if our backs are against the wall, as if the Denver Nuggets are 2-1 up, not us. If we play like that, if we play like a team that is just not desperate, but is kind of saying to ourselves, oh no, this series could get out of hand really quickly if we don't show up. This could be like do or die. I just treat the next couple of games like game 7s. And if the likes of LeBron just treats the game and AD treats the game like game 7, we're probably going to win that game because we're going to get the best out of LeBron James. We're going to get the intensity out of AD. We're going to get AD grabbing 10, 15 boards. We're going to get LeBron getting easy points in the paint. We're going to get Dwight Howard getting some important blocks during portions of the game and getting in Jokic's face. We could get Kyle Kuzma averaging 15, 18 points. It's all about just getting these players in the right mentality because game 3, they definitely weren't in the right frame of mind. You could see it straight away. They were just lackadaisical and just didn't seem like they cared. They were just seemed comfortable, like, oh, we're 2-0 up. We're going to walk the rest of the series. We're going to sweep them. that's not this frame of mind you have. The frame of mind is do or die. That is basically, to a certain extent, the Lakers' motto when it comes to the playoffs. Do or die.
Yeah.
Show up or shut up. One or the other.
I think it's Denver as well. This team fight. We know
they're a great
that.
Team.
And they're going to carry on fighting. We'll get into predictions a little bit later, but I will throw out there that I think they might win another game. But if they win this next game, it's all to play for again. The series will be level if they win the next game, and they will have a lot of momentum. So this next game is vital. I think with the referee point, I won't say too much on it, but I think we're at the Western Conference final stage of the playoffs. Well, we're in the conference finals. Don't matter whether it's the East or the West. You have to let them play. You have to let them play. And if that means kind of little fouls, that are going to stop the game, if it means overlooking them, I think you just have to overlook them. Just let them play. It's such an important stage of the playoffs. What we will do is we're going
to make one more point if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, the one thing I've definitely noticed, especially with the referees, and that's only a quick point, is Murray and Jokic have been getting superstar calls. Like the 50-50 calls that could go either way, they seem to be getting them. LeBron hasn't got that all series. That's the one thing that's been crazy. LeBron has been hacked quite an amount. And even the time, remember the time in game, I think it was game 2 or game 3, where 4 players descended on LeBron and at least 2 of them hacked him in the process of it, and the ball was just given turned over and went the other way. That's ridiculous. If you're meant to be one of the faces of the league, and I'm not saying they should be getting preferential treatment, but if 2 players are very clearly in Jokic and Murray are getting preferential treatment in terms of fouls, it's ridiculous. It should if it's an even playing ground, don't give them the ticky-tacky fouls or the kind of 50-50 ones, and don't give it to the Lakers. That's fine. But there has to be some consistency in terms of if you're going to give the likes of Jokic and Murray virtually every foul they possibly can. The Lakers were making bad mistakes, but going into the third quarter with 9 minutes left in the third, they were in a penalty. That is crazy. That is just ridiculous behavior out of the referees. Either you're interrupting the game or you're calling so many fouls that's putting Lakers into foul trouble that early. They weren't big flagrant fouls that the Lakers were making. They were just kind of borderline, but at least let the flow of the game go. So if it's hopefully in the next couple of games, I'm not saying give LeBron every foul coming up and up the floor if someone touches him. I'm just saying let it be fair in terms of the fouls given, because it wasn't fair towards the Nuggets in game 1, and it definitely hasn't been fair to the Lakers in the last 2 games.
Yeah, I just think it's something that we're here in the Western Conference Finals and we're speaking about referees, and it's all of a sudden become about the referees part of this series, and it's just not really what we want to be talking about.
Yeah, they're not the third team.
Yeah, exactly. And what we're going to do is we're going to move on to a little bit before we go on to predictions and rounding it up. Just do want to give a little bit of a shout out to KCP. I've been banging on about him on the Lakers UK socials. I think he has been fantastic throughout this series. I know that he missed that. Yeah. It was either a game tying shot or it would have put the Lakers 1 up in game 3. But, throughout the series, he's averaging 13.7 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 57.5% from the field he's shooting. And he's shooting an incredible 53.3% from three-point land. In games 1 and 2, he hit 3 3-pointers. And in game 3, he hit 2 3-pointers. So he's playing fantastically at the moment. Pretty much what we want Danny Green to be doing, but he isn't for some reason. So I do want to just give Kentavious Caldwell-Pope a little bit of a shout out there. What we're going to do now is we've got a few comments here. So we're just going to quickly just go through a little bit of them. We've got Amandeep here that says, let's go 3-1 today. He thinks the Lakers are obviously going to win.
Yes, Amandeep.
We've got, Late Show Scoop coming in with some flames right now, which is, shout out to Kenny. We've got Thomas here with, the good old purple and gold hearts. We've got Jefferson won here, so dope to get some support from the UK. I think there's a lot of people out there that don't realise there is as much support as there is for the Lakers in the UK. But yeah, we are out here representing. It's not just me and Jonathan. There are a lot of us. We've got a big group chat. Shout out to Adam and his late night gang. Slogan that he uses for that. You know, there is a Mandeep here who's obviously always ever present in these. Best moment of the season so far. Speaking in regard to the AD Game 2 buzzer beater win, winner. And, you know, scenes in the group chat afterwards, which we've got Cole in the Instagram live here chirping up. And he was very much spearheading them celebrations in the group chat at 5 o'clock in the morning. We've also got something here that says from a Mandeep, he thinks Dwight Howard's going to start. Well, no, actually, it sounds like he's asking Dwight Howard to start. He says match JaVale McGee with Plumlee, match their minutes together. And he thinks that we're going to win the series 4-1 as we're now refocused. So, yeah, there's some comments there. If you do have anything that you want to say throughout the show, whether it's on Instagram, shout out to the guys on Instagram, behind the scenes type of view that they've got. If you want to watch that, they're kind of just here. Or whether you're watching on the live stream, send your comments in, and you know, we're kind of going to make an effort to go through them at the end of podcasts from now on. So Adam did actually have a question, but we have answered it. He said, who do you think should be starting between JaVale and Howard moving forward? Who do you think will have the biggest impact? We have gone through that. We both think Dwight Howard should be starting, and obviously we believe that he will have the biggest impact moving forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to predictions moving forward. So I haven't heard yours, and the viewers haven't heard yours, but when I did the pre-series, well, not pre-series, when I did the series preview, I said Lakers in five. Did I say Lakers in 5? Yeah, I said Lakers in 5. Kenny, Late Show Scoop, who was on, said Lakers in 5 as well. So we both thought the Lakers were going to win it 4-1. Given what's happened, what's your prediction? Well, how about you? What was your prediction prior, and has that changed now?
My prediction prior was in 5. I still think I think we are the best team in the West, and potentially the best team currently left in the bubble. But yeah, my prediction before was 5 games, maybe 6, and well, it's obviously going to probably be 6 or 7 games at this point. But yeah, I'm still very confident that we win 4-1.
Yeah, so I'm going to stick with my prediction just purely because I don't really want to go and change it up. I said Lakers in 5. I'm going to stick with Lakers in 5, but I won't be surprised if they take another game. I think we will win this next game, but I think they might kind of rally towards the end of the series. But Lakers are obviously I'm very confident that the Lakers can win this. We've got Adam and Instagram. He predicted a sweep. Obviously, that's gone out the window now. Cole says Lakers in 5. So it looks like a lot of people are still sticking with Lakers in 5, which was quite a popular prediction. Yeah, going in. So yeah, that's kind of rounded up what we There's have.
One thing I actually would like to say, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, feel free. You can get it in right at the end.
So if AD plays like this,
and
LeBron plays like this,
nice.
The Lakers are winning in 5. Simple as that. Yeah. We just need AD to be baby Shaq, and LeBron to kind of find his inner Mamba mentality, and we are going to maul the Denver Nuggets. Don't quote me on that. Like, it easily could be Denver winning the series. It easily could be Denver winning the next game.
But it can happen.
But if AD plays his potential of being like a little baby Shaq, basically scoring 35 points a game and 20 rebounds, that's gonna be hard to beat. And if LeBron can balance his assisting to kind of being ruthless, then that is the perfect combination. that's all we need for them to do. Just show up, give their best performances, or even just try their hardest. And I think if AD and LeBron alone try their hardest, we win this series in 5.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will quickly say before we go out, LeBron was headbutting the padding at the side of the hoop at the end of.
I love it.
So I think we're going to see. I don't know whether is it playoff LeBron? I don't think there is a playoff. I think, but playoff LeBron is a thing all season round. So here we go. People that are either listening on the podcast or Instagram. Jonathan's got his LeBron jersey out. So I think LeBron's going to be very prominent moving forward with the rest of this series. I think he is going to turn into beast mode, and it should be exciting to see that. So what we'll do is we'll wrap it up there. Really do appreciate you taking the time to come on.
No problem whatsoever, man.
We'll just give your socials a shout out. People will know where to find you by now, but just give them a bit of a shout out. Anything else you want to say before you go?
Yeah. So my Twitter handle is Jonathan K NBA, JONATHAN K NBA, and I will be having an article out next week on Lakers UK for who is potentially the best duo in the NBA, because there's a lot of kind of potential people who can fight for that crown very easily. But yeah, we'll tune in to find out. Yeah,
and obviously it depends when you're listening to this, but in the early hours for us overseas, the Lakers are playing the Denver Nuggets in Game 4, so we're very interested to see what happens there. Thanks again for coming on, mate.
No worries.
I have to give a huge shout out to our Patreon members. We've got Mandy, we've got Fardy, we've got both Jonathans, we've got Benjamin, Massimo, Cole, Adam, Phil, and Steve. Your support is very much appreciated.
Thank you all.
If you're interested in supporting us whilst unlocking the full Lakers UK community plus perks, visit www.patreon.com/LA Lakers UK. As you can see at the bottom, we have entered a partnership with Manscaped. We won't speak too much about it at the moment. We will do moving forward. To get 20% off plus free shipping over at manscaped.com, use the promo code LakersUK20. You can save a lot of money there. And it also does help us out hugely at the same time. It's a win-win. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to tell some of your Laker friends about it. You can find the Late Late Show on all major podcast platforms. Please follow where possible and leave a review. Be sure to follow Lakers UK over on Twitter and Instagram under LA Lakers UK. Check out our website, lakersuk.com, and we'll catch you next time.